America's Mayor live, and we're very live tonight. We're very live every night, and we thank God for it. That's what you should do in the mornings, at night, whenever. You're alive because of God, not because of you. You're here because of God, not because of you. So stop thinking you're so damn important. You know when you become important? When you start helping a lot of people. That's when you become important. So what I just said may be the thing that we don't train our kids in enough in Ivy League schools. You know, I started making this objection years ago in my first commencement speech. I believe it's in my first commencement speech, which I'll go find at Providence College in Rhode Island in 1986. And I said the worst thing about this movement that we have now, hippie, skippy, whatever the heck it was, the whole idea of it, even when it's idealized, is what can I be? Let me become the most of what I can be. You know what that is? That isn't moral philosophy, moral theology. That isn't moral development of the individual. That's pure, straight out and out with a capital-led narcissism. The world is not about everything you can be. The world is about, and Jesus said it about as coolly as you can, if you do it for this, the least of my brethren, you do it for me. I'll make it a bigger picture than that. I'm going to tell you when I talk to people that are depressed or lonely, or I said, you've got to figure out what makes you forget all the money and what would make you very proud of yourself if you did it. And usually it's a couple of things, big and small. And for this exercise, they don't matter much. Take the small one and do it. Maybe it's for other people. Maybe you always wanted to put together a soup kitchen for all those people that are. Go do it. There's a place in the Bible, and I'm reaching out for the Bible because yesterday was my birthday. You might remember, and after the show, I had a wonderful small birthday party because it was at the last minute, and I was given this beautiful Bible right here. This is the Trump Bible, and it is a version of the King James, and it is beautiful. I mean, I have a few versions of the Bible, but I do appreciate them when people give them to me, and it means something very, very special to me. Very important. In here is the heritage. It began Western civilization, and we sure as hell are not going to be the one that's taken down. They're trying really, really hard. Harvard University has been trying to take down our civilization for, I don't know, 60, 70 years. I don't know when the communists first got their ugly heads into there. And because they sounded so cool and so questioning and so everything else and love vodka, they got to dominate they take away American studies. They take away studying American civilization. It's a very, very sad history. And it's one that Donald J. Trump is combating now. And he's doing very, very well. He's doing very well. So as he moves forward now in trying to find a focal point for those who react to nuclear danger, those who do not believe that nuclear weapons should be in the hands of irresponsible people. And if you want some of it for very specialized purposes, should be under great control and great transparency. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. And we'll be there. No question about it. Now, one of the things that was pointed out by an economist, part German and part Ukrainian, strange combination, is that this war is financially the best thing that could ever happen to Russia. It's getting money to flow in there like they've never seen before. And the only way you're going to get rid of the Ayatollah is to get rid of the dirty Russian. Well, we're going to have a lot of interchange with Russia. This summer, we're going to have the club championships here. Manchester and Lazio and all the other great soccer clubs of their generation. I would recommend getting a book that lays out, if you don't know soccer or European football or football, I would recommend getting a book, and a good one, and reading the outlines of how to play soccer. Because it's not, it could be an intuitive sport, but from a guy who plays baseball and basketball and football, it isn't. It's not as easy to acquire, and the penalties are ridiculous. Well, with the end of the war, peaceful thing, with the end of the war, if it happens, you have countries on the border here. Let's see if I can find a nice little map here that will show us what we're talking about. Not here. Well, that won't do. We'll find it. Just takes a little while. We sure don't want to give our lessons on the wrong place.
That's not us.
Let's see. Well, you see, when they're talking about enhancing more and more Ukrainian, enhancing more and more uranium, enhancing more and more, now what you're doing is you're taking the like they were thinking of attacking down in this area of Israel, down there. Right here.
Right.
Well, if Israel attacked there, it would blow back on Israel.
Mhm.
And if, let's say, somehow the incompetent, moronic, sick leaders of this plane thing, if they were to do a bombing, he'd probably do it up here, maybe still in Syria. They may take it all the way out to Russia. And then it becomes a different ball game, right? You're not going to get an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. You're not even going to get justice. And that's why, brilliantly, very, very brilliantly, a battleship was just placed. I don't think we'll see it on this map. I'll show you in a few more minutes in the show, where it can take all of the Asian part out. It can take some of this out. Russia needs war. Keep itself from going broke. Now, you should know that, because America almost went broke in the Second World War. And if it wasn't for the spending of the Second World War, we could have gone broke. Instead, we became the richest nation on earth. But we're not going to let Ukraine take that away from us, are we? And we're not going to let Russia take that away from us, are we? No. We want Ukraine to come out better, but we don't want our prerogatives taken away from us. And there's an altruistic reason for that. If you were to take magically the whole world and turn it over to Russia, or even conversely, turn it over to Ukraine, under Russia, just forget it. We'd be back in the worst of the worst. And if it was under her, it would be a completely disorganized set of family. I see my ancestor coming down from the mountain. I have to be true to him. It's a shame that we can't get together, isn't it? How many men have said that? It's terrible. It's terrible. It's just terrible. So, Germany has decided, and I'm very happy about this because it shows that Germany is stepping up. Germany has decided, and there's a reason for this, Germany, with all of her problems, still has the most cash in Europe. The others are really cash poor. And that includes the English and the French. But the Ukrainians are stepping up, and they intend to put in 100. I thought it was 150. Well, he's going to make the lead. He's going to make the lead contribution with help from other countries, but there aren't too many that can help. I mean, France is going through discord of no end. England is going through the same thing, and they're also going through. Well, all I have to say is that the most famous name in London last year was Mohammed, and you'll get an idea of what they're going through, right? Putin is very, very shrewd. Putin's original demands when he started this war, he would have had this war if he had been given all of the territory that he got, right? And also some of the other little goodies, like the park and back, and a lot of the parking areas that he can just go and park. It would be a thing to appreciate the city that's doing this for you. This is the greatest city in the world. It's putting itself at risk in nominating. You kill each other, and you got to stop it. I'm glad you're on television. We got to stop it. We've got to end it. It's got to be over. It can't be anymore. That's the world that we want to be in. That's the world that we fought for. That's the world that is not impossible. But it's not built on praying only, and it's not built on retreats only. It's built by tough people. That's what we need to hold off Ukraine, and that's the reason why hold off Israel and Russia and Israel. That's why you see Trump equivocating. He doesn't know what he has. So, Ted, what do you got? Some questions for us?
Oh, yeah.
That's right, Mayor. So a lot of people still wishing you happy birthday.
Thank you.
Big birthday yesterday.
Thank you.
So we have folks, but now comment below. Let us know what questions do you have for the mayor. We're taking questions. Something we haven't done in a while.
No, let's take a few questions, see what they have. Maybe you can pick them up on there and we can answer them.
We'll take some questions. So ask away and we'll bring them up.
So the neighbors of Ukraine are now beginning to get nervous that as Ukraine becomes stabilized, a lot of the early wheat crop prospect, which is supposed to be better than anywhere. I don't, everybody says that, but it's obviously very, very good, and I've had it a number of times. So we're going to have some of that, I think. Absolutely.
Okay.
And we will come back, and we're going to give you an idea of what's going to come up. I think all of these things personally are going to clarify in the next 3 to 4 days. I don't think it's going to be 2 weeks. What happens in the East? What does China do? I don't know. But I just don't think they are presently ready for massive warfare. I don't think so. So I think there's going to be a lot more scouting and a lot more looking around and a lot more of everything else before we get to that. I think we're going to have an end to Hamas soon.
How do you, Mayor, what do you think of, because when this thing started, Prime Minister Netanyahu basically said, that's it for Hamas, right? We're taking them out. They're done. They've given up their right to existence basically after the October 7th attacks. And now it appears that some sort of agreement has been made to, maybe it's a ceasefire. They're calling it a ceasefire. What do you think Prime Minister Netanyahu's long game is here?
Prime Minister Netanyahu's long game, unless the man has changed completely from the human being that I knew is on trial, is to eliminate the Islamic Republic of Iran, the reign of terror. Not to eliminate Iran. He realizes there are a lot of Iranian people that used to be very close to the Israelis that can easily be reestablished. Of all the groups in the Middle East, they're the group that would naturally gravitate to the Jewish people. And it's been interrupted by this. I don't know what to call the Ayatollahs and the people who speak on their behalf. They say things that to me are insane. But even if followed through, if you summarize them, they become. So I don't know. I think the cadets that I saw at West Point this weekend, I put them anywhere. Yeah. But they're going to be like our boys on D-Day. They're going to lose their lives, and maybe there are better ways to put them there. You got to think about that too, right?
Right. And it's interesting because Hamas's political leadership, they're not even in Gaza, right? They're in Qatar?
No, they'll get killed in Gaza. Who's going to tell the difference between them and
But I don't understand. But so these guys are the people.
Nobody wants Gaza.
Yeah.
They want Gaza in the hands of the guy they're going to.
Yeah.
So America,
Yeah. Absolutely absurd. Just absurd. So
it could be a beautiful country.
Gaza?
Yeah, it could be beautiful. Right. Trump is absolutely right. It used to be a playland.
Yeah, it could be just a location, right? So maybe we'll take a quick break.
It is a shame what we do to the world in so many different ways. Of course, we can take a short break.
Got to pay the bills here.
We do.
So we'll be right back.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
Oh, hello. Well, it's me, Ted, with the mayor, of course. I just want to take a moment and the mayor's enjoying a quick bite to eat. We don't really. Okay, we're gonna show you. We're gonna show him. Yeah, it's birthday cake. That's his birthday cake
From last night.
from last night. So we're just giving him a chance to eat here. You know, he works so hard every day, right? We forget to eat meals. But it's one of those things when you're really in the zone on something, right? You kind of
This was my
lose your
favorite
appetite.
gift.
You forget. So he got a number of gifts. We had a nice little party. We'll upload some videos. Here it is, lower it there. Yep.
Like the Holy Bible.
You can zoom in on that. Hold that up. I'm going to zoom in with the other
It's
camera.
the Trump version.
Yeah, we're going to zoom in on
Just
this.
the Holy Bible. It's a King James version. People like to say it's the Trump version of the Bible. You know, like Trump got the 10 Commandments or something.
Yeah, right. There it is. He got a lot of good gifts. I actually want to show him the hat.
Just in case,
hat.
Let's go to Genesis 1.
Oh, gosh.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. Didn't say in the beginning, God created Donald Trump, right? Okay. I just want you to know that. All right. It's a beautiful book. Look at it.
Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Look at that binding Holy
And
Bible
then,
with the
because
flag.
it's because the Bible is part of our, I mean, in a certain way, the Bible is our religious heritage, part of our civic heritage too.
Mhm.
So right after the last chapter of Revelations, it begins with the Declaration of Independence. You have that here. You have all the brave people who signed it. The Constitution of the United States, which we're constantly spending our time, and the Bill of Rights, constantly spending our time discussing, right? What does it mean? How does it mean it? So I just wish you would accept my word on this. The reason why the people in Hamas or in Gaza, rather, have difficulty being fed is not because of the Jewish people or the American people. It's because of the UN people. Well, you say, well, the UN people,
Yeah.
why would they care? Because they're all Hamas. Because the UN is crooked. Don't you know that? It's crooked. It's dishonest. I'm not going to give you just a percentage off the top of my head. I'm going to tell you it's more than 50%. That's it. They come from completely corrupt governments. So when they come here, this is the opportunity to make big money. And they take advantage of it. So we can't defer to the UN for something like giving out food to people that are starving because the food goes to the combatants who are fighting for the cause that they believe in. So this whole thing about food, you can have a massive amounts of food, it goes to waste. They want the Palestinians to have as many childhood murders and killings as possible. We're just left with the parents and no children and no future. That is a Marxist idea as well as, and Israel has never been given the opportunity to just feed them. One of the hostages was released yesterday. And, you know, it's very hard for a hostage to tell you really what happened because there's a certain amount of fear that the others will be penalized. And so you have to be very, very careful. But Omar Shem Tov, 22, provided insights into Hamas political calculations as he detailed the hellish conditions he endured for more than 500 days. 500 days after he was kidnapped during the October 7, 2023 attack. But here's what he points out. And boy, I would say MSNBC, CNN, and all the News Nation left wing, News Nation left, right?
Yeah.
Left News Nation,
We'll work on that.
News Nation radical.
Yeah, news. What's like a word for like a communist nation? Like a.
Well, they don't. I mean, they come on. They're no better than anybody else, and they pretend to be. I haven't seen any really substantial coverages of Trump. I mean, basically, they'll say he's not a murderer, but that's about it.
Right. Yeah. It'll seem fair because it's not. Maybe not. Although I can think of some Some pretty nasty.
They have a
hit
reporter
jobs.
on there that's ever been fair to Trump.
Who they got there? Leland Vitter,
Never been fair on Trump.
Chris Cuomo.
Never been fair on Trump.
Those are the two that I can think of. To be fair, I don't watch much of it. They were trying to follow the Newsmax model, but it seems
Well,
like
they
failed.
followed the
Their own
CNN
version.
model.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. They should have followed the Newsmax model.
Well, Shem Tov, this young man who was freed, he spent his time advocating for the release of all the others. And the minute he did that, they treated him horribly. And then as soon as President Trump got into office, he started getting treated like a king. Because they figured somehow Trump was going to get him out. But he got out and he's telling the truth. He also tells us that he was there during the presidential campaign and the prison guards and the oppressors very much wanted Kamala. Does it stand to reason that the Islamic terrorists would want Kamala? Of course it does. So we've got these strange situations going on all over Israel. It's really the only free country in the Middle East, and we've got to preserve it. The president has asked Bibi to lay off on Iran. I don't know how I feel about that, Ted.
Iran?
No. Here.
I was reading a new Supreme Court. Well, you'll want to read
President
this later.
Trump
Yeah.
confirmed Wednesday that he asked Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin
yes.
Netanyahu last week not to bomb Iran's nuclear facility to allow additional time for talk. I'd like to be honest. Yes, he did. Trump told reporters in the office. I said, I don't think it's appropriate. We're waiting. We're having good conversations with them.
Good conversation. Good conversation. I don't.
I know. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I agree.
Nope. We're gonna be. I want to hear your thoughts on this, Mayor. Maybe we're gonna.
Well, my thoughts are very, very simplistic. The minute he reemerged his ugly head, and the minute we had the capacity to take out every one of his bunker-busting bombs, I'd have done a slightly different air pattern than they did because I don't want to be too obvious. I'd warn him, give him 48 hours warning, not 2 weeks, to get all those all those electronics out of there, and then I'd take them out.
Right.
That set him back 10 years. Then after we did it in Iran, the very next night, after we did it in the islands, the very next night we go right back. We go right back to Tehran, and we take out. See if I can find all the places for you. I had them here a moment ago. We keep this map because we want to see how accurate they are. Let's see if I have it here. We keep moving it, so
Right.
which is not a good idea.
Well, and what is the argument to strike now? Why now? What is the argument to do it
Well,
now?
why not now? I mean, why now? Why never? Right?
Right.
So I would say they're ready. They're ready to. I mean, they're ready. It seems to me they're ready to attack,
Right.
but they're ready to put in their nuclears so that they can become a much bigger player.
Right.
Isn't this the time to put them back where they belong, in the
Right.
cave? I think so. But I don't know that we should be asking Israel to lay off unless that's a phony story. It says to lay off until Friday. Then we'll see.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think Bibi has to see much more. This is the problem we have with presidents elected every 4 years. They come from different backgrounds. They're good people. They want to do the right thing. But this is what happens. So the Israeli hostage that was released, the other day. This is why they don't release them.
Mhm.
Kamar Shem Tov, 22, made it very, very clear that he was designated to sleep in a very, very strange and awkward position. I thought he was going to be treated with some degree of decency, and he wasn't. And the rest of it you can read for yourself. You can imagine what happens in a prison of animals.
Right. Right.
And I'm not going to say what it is. What them they can figure it out.
Yeah.
They can read it. It's in the
Right.
it's in the Daily News.
Oh God.
I do not know why the president asked Iran to lay off, ask Israel to lay off Iran.
Right.
Because we're having very good discussions with them. Good. Let the discussions go on. As soon as the discussions are over, let them ship.
Yeah.
But
Right.
before that, let's take out everything they have.
And so when making a decision like this, it'd be as simple as giving Israel the green light. Israel presumably have all the plans and everything in place and ready to do it, right? Why is it that Israel?
I assume that's true.
Why is it that Israel needs the green light from us to do something like this, or do they?
They do. Oh, do they? No, of course not. They don't need. They're a sovereign nation. They can do what they want under the agreements we have. Under the agreements they would like to strengthen and foster, they should do that. Yes, they should ask for permission, or they should ask for advice, or
Because of how
help.
Okay.
Because of what NATO is.
Okay.
But and they will.
But
They will.
specifically the United States, right?
Yeah, but this is not our problem. This
Yeah.
is their problem more than ours. It's our problem again, second down the road.
Yeah.
So they have to have a big role in this.
Right.
And he has a good army.
And do you feel that Iran and the current regime, are they weaker than some people portray them to be? Would you say? I mean, when you look at something like Syria,
Iran and what? Somebody else.
the Iranian regime, people don't want to start another war. They don't. They say, "Oh, you're going to start World War III." I mean, is there a possibility where you take out the regime and there's infighting in Iran?
That's going to happen someday.
Right, and it's not going to lead to it
But
doesn't
if I
necessarily have to
were
lead to a
real
world
genius,
war.
I would tell you when. I don't.
China and Russia aren't going to go to bat for this regime.
Human beings cannot live under this degree of servitude for much longer, particularly when they see non-servitude living right next to them.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's the way they feel. So,
Right.
I don't know what else I can tell you, but these people believe that they can overcome this force
Yeah.
that's now intruding on them,
Right.
intruding on their navy.
Right. Well, and so people talk about, oh, no, we don't want to get into another world war. We don't, ease up, calm down on Iran. Isn't the goal to avoid a nuclear war and to avoid Iran becoming a nuclear power? Isn't that the goal?
Well, they are a nuclear power. So we're not going, Iran?
Yeah. Well, right? Because that's the argument.
All they got to do is dig a couple holes.
Right. So, but we believe there's a possibility if we attack now, we can set them back 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
And
question about it.
So how is there any, what is the alternative? So the alternative is just to let them
To
become
let
a
them
nuclear.
promise that they're going to dismantle them.
Yeah. And they've
we
proven
don't take
before that we can't trust them on that, correct?
Right.
And we also know and can demonstrate that they've, of course,
Great ice cream.
great. Isn't that good cake?
No ice cream here, though.
Right. So comment below, because I'm willing to bet that I'm willing to even bet our viewers are split on this in terms of
Hey, why don't we put the question this way?
Yeah.
Should we hit them right now? Take out all the Ayatollah's offensive weapons and be ready for a counterattack.
right. Well, right. And
Why do we have to tell them when we're coming?
what would a counterattack look like? Again, they're not a nuclear power. I can't imagine Russia or China would start a nuclear war over the Ayatollah, right? I mean, so it's almost as though
I would think
They're
they'd have to
presenting-
resort
they're
to
presenting-
cyber
cyber attacks
attacks and sabotaging.
and almost maybe some almost terrorist like attacks,
Mhm.
right, on the US. Right,
Mhm.
they'll have to get us, but it'll have to be an unconventional manner, guerrilla
They're not
war.
the Russian Jedi.
Right. Right.
We're going to take a short break as we go off on a flight fancy. We'll come back with some very, very good predictions. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal, 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal, 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
It's me again.
Well, why are you there, Ted?
I'm here. Look, the mayor is always transparent, totally open with you guys. Doesn't hide. He's eating. He works so damn hard.
He can't give up eating his.
He forgets to eat. Well, I'm putting a positive spin on it, Mayor.
Yeah, this is positive. Look.
He's enjoying He's enjoying some birthday cake. But I'm making the argument that it's necessary.
I wasn't even able to eat it yesterday.
You didn't even get a piece because everyone
didn't get to eat that birthday cake.
Yeah. Well, everybody and the mayor is so gracious with his time, as you can imagine. Everybody wants to talk to him. Everyone wants a few minutes with him.
What happens.
Wait, picture. Get a picture of the camera.
Okay.
Yeah, picture. Wait, over here, Mayor. Over here. No, over here. Over here.
Going on for 40 years. Have you ever heard of a single incident where I got, like Alex Baldwin or something?
You ever punch?
Yeah. I'm a conservative. I'm a Christian. I love people.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
You're a
people
person.
around me. How can you take it? I kind of like it. I'm here like this. Like,
a picture,
I want a picture. Wait. Sir,
Picture, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I tell you what. Just now, be careful with that piece of cake there.
Yeah.
Be very careful. We'll take a picture right away.
Yeah. Click. And then click it with your mouth.
That's because I was taught you can't waste food.
Right. Well,
my mother grew up with a depression.
If you,
the worst part would not have been I'm being interrupted or I ate enough. I don't have to be interrupted.
Yeah.
Fine. The worst part is if we wasted the food.
Woo! Yeah.
That would have been tough. Now, the president, I think we covered this in the earlier show, but not this one. The president has told Bibi to put off for 2 weeks. Now, you do have the benefit of knowing what I said about it. But what do you think of that, Ted?
Okay, so it's impossible once you have other information in your head.
We'll try to forget what I said.
Yeah, which is hard to do, right? I mean, I listen to you on these on such matters, right? Who else am I going to listen to on foreign policy? Who else in this country can you listen to besides Mayor Giuliani? Let's be honest, very few. So it almost seems that, look, I trust President Trump implicitly. He is the master negotiator. This man wrote the art of the deal. He's proven himself time and time again to be the strong, tough leader America needs. So
I love him, and here's his Bible.
Right. Right. We have his Bible. We have his hat. How many more things do we have to say to prove it?
We are honest people who love him.
Right.
And the reason our love means something is we're honest.
Especially you, Mayor.
I always
right. And you're one of the only people
I think person that was always right, and that's the guy who is quoted in this Bible.
Yes.
Everybody else has been wrong, and he's very rarely been wrong. But this has some questions to it.
That's it. That's yeah.
And so what are they? What
is the?
Why would you wait?
What's 2 more weeks going to do?
Well, I mean, the one that got me was when the president told them they had 2 more weeks and they've got to straighten their act out, and then they went ahead and bombed the living daylights out of Ukraine.
Yeah,
300 drones the first night, all kinds of intercontinental ballistic missiles, rather. Altogether, I think 760 drones. But please remember, on civilian property, directly on civilians. This is not like the Israelis took out Mohammed Sinwar.
Right.
Mohammed Sinwar was in the basement of a hospital.
Right.
I don't
That's
know.
right.
I don't
We
know
have
if
to bring
it was
this-
a
yeah.
functioning hospital or not. They didn't say that. They didn't say there were any children casualties in this one. But what the hell was he doing at the bottom of a hospital?
Right. Our
Because if he wants to stop the Israelis from hitting him in the first place, and then if the Israelis do take him out, he wants them to pay a price for it. How do you fight a war? Suppose all the Nazis hide it in hospitals. We were gonna let Hitler win?
that, I mean, it sounds the European hospital in Khan Yunis. That to me sounds like a active hospital.
But they don't. But they don't list any civilian deaths. And you would think that the Hamas a group of liars would come out with that right away.
Right. But why do these media outlets, they paint it as, no place is safe. Gaza's European hospital gets attacked.
Well, no place is safe when you're a terrorist.
Well, but that's the thing, right? The media portrays it as Israeli airstrike hits hospital. They leave out the fact that Hamas leadership embeds themselves in the depths of the hospital and are launching attacks from the hospital.
Israeli,
It's absurd,
right. I mean, just to have it hang out there if they hit a hospital makes it sound like they're going after.
Like they're
The
killing
Israelis
innocent
want to
babies.
kill. The Israelis want to kill all the Gaza patients.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
They don't want to pay Medicaid anymore.
Right. They leave out the fact that that's Hamas. Hamas does that, and by the way, Hamas in a way I have a feeling, maybe not Mohammed Sinwar in this case, but they want Israel to hit the hospital because then they get that public outcry
I
from
think
the global.
except for the.
I'm sure Sinwar didn't want to go. He didn't want to sacrifice himself, but
the whole family's gone now. It was another Sinwar they got rid of. Sinwar's not a good name.
I was gonna say
Sinwar's not a good name in Israel. My suggestion is if you happen to be named Sinwar, but no relationship to them, even another ethnic group, when you go to Israel, change your name.
I wouldn't. Yeah, right.
I don't know, Ted. I think that I think in prior wars, I can't think of another war where civilians were put up as a tactic, as a brainwashing or propaganda tactic.
Like where they wanted them to hit them.
Think about this. Hitler, right? We've watched a lot of movies and documentaries about the Battle of Britain.
Right.
And they were attacking. The only notice I had of it was I was watching one on Sunday, and originally they were hitting. Originally, the Germans, when they started the Battle of Britain, were hitting airfields and places where they thought soldiers were. Okay. Then they escalated it to government buildings. They almost killed Churchill a couple of times. Then they went out into the villages and started hitting houses, just killing regular people. By the mid-Battle of Britain, they were attacking the civilians of England.
Planes or were they
Planes.
rockets too?
They didn't have that many rockets. They had the V rocket. It wasn't particularly effective, and we could pretty much intercept it. No, they were using planes. They had a much bigger air force than the English. The
Luftwaffe.
twice as big. However,
Blitzkrieg.
they were defeated. They eventually they had to stop. They weren't getting anywhere.
Yeah. So what
They were
was
being
it?
taken down. Well, first of all, England had a very good air force that no one even knew about. They didn't know. Plus, they got tremendous number of volunteers. A lot of American pilots went and volunteered for them. A lot of Norwegian pilots volunteered for them. Before
we entered
a lot
the
of
war?
French pilots
During the war.
during the war, a little before the war. The Germans had started hitting parts of England before Normandy.
Yeah.
So a lot of young Americans who were patriotic volunteered to join the English Army.
Yeah.
And they particularly wanted to join the English Air Force because they were enthusiastic young aviators. So I don't know
Took
how
some guts
many
to do that sort of job.
I don't know how many Americans they had, but they had a fair number of American pilots. And it wasn't just America that volunteered for them. It was any place where you had a strong number of people that were very anti-Nazi or just guys who wanted experience with aerial warfare.
Yeah, we haven't. There hasn't been much anything really like that since.
So they
To
don't.
that
They haven't.
But a situation where
We haven't calculated that. We didn't calculate that it was happening. It was happening below the surface. So it wasn't something that we.
Yeah. Well, we live in the information age now, right? Where if Hamas can goad the Israelis into attacking
Right.
a civilian structure, they get that out in the media and globally, right? Within minutes. We've seen it numerous times since this current conflict. But that's an interesting question, Mayor. When in the past have we had a situation where adversaries purposely embedded themselves with their own civilians
Mhm.
and with the goal of the opposing party attacking them
Right.
and wanting that attack to
Right.
happen? That is an interesting question.
But they got their Air Force up in the air, and boy, they started doing damage right away. And then when it turned,
This is World War II.
I don't know who did more damage to the other, but the English made them pay for it. You had a lot of German cities that was shelled right to the ground.
But it was the Germans who instigated that
Of 100%.
that tactic of
Nazis.
leveling cities. Not the Germans,
Yeah,
Nazi party.
I really prefer to say the Nazis. Now, it's a little unfair. The Germans did accept them, but I do think there's something of a distinction there. I do. I hope.
Yeah,
may
right.
more
It's not,
hope
you just
there's
hope,
something of a
yeah.
distinction.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to say the Nazis because they controlled the German people in very much the same way as they controlled the Polish people or the
Yes.
British people, or not the British people, the French people. Sure, there were people who went along with it, and sure, there were people that hated it.
Mhm. You're built different, Mayor. You would stand up and say something. You wouldn't have just gone around along with it. So many people just go along with things, right? You never would have. You never have.
Well, the only way you'd go along with it if you're really undermining it. If your role was as an undercover person,
Right.
if you're a real undercover person. Then
Yeah.
I mean, those are great people.
Yeah.
Who do that?
Oh, yeah. Then you're going pretending to go along.
Then you
but-
just suck them in and
right.
kill all
But
the
if you're a
bastards.
German citizen and you become aware of this, of the concentration camps,
Mhm.
at that point you can't.
Well, that
you,
was
you,
an
you
interesting.
then have a duty to.
That was an interesting perspective presented to Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Not sure it was actually even presented to him. At the time that he was eventually presented to him, there was a real sense that he was demented.
Roosevelt was.
But Roosevelt had earlier in the war refused to take Jews. Refused to take Jewish refugees. He didn't want to get targeted too much by the Nazis. But
Oh,
that was earlier before he was in the war.
okay.
But then when he was in the war, there was a suggestion made. This is not an easy suggestion to figure out the right thing or the wrong thing.
Right.
That the end result was that the German army was going to we're going to kill all those people, God forbid, if they were defeated. The last act in the concentration camp was to machine gun every Jew.
That was okay.
That was the theory, and that was the information. That
Yeah.
was and there was a point at which Roosevelt was confronted with bomb those camps. Give those people mercy. They're being tortured right now. They're on torture racks. And he refused to do it. And there are some people who criticize him for it. I find that one too difficult to criticize.
Oh God. Yeah. You
I
don't.
find it
I don't.
too-
Yeah. You
I
don't
find
bomb
it-
it. You can't
I
criticize.
find
them.
it too difficult to criticize. I think the answer that you bomb them to take them out of pain
No.
is a little too simplistic.
Yeah.
Now, some survived.
I was gonna say. I used to
My friend Ray Harding, his parents survived, and he survived. There would never have been Ray Harding if that decision had been made. So I don't know. I think that's a little one. I've never understood the rationale of that one completely. I understand it. I understand the sympathetic part of it, but it turned out that it wasn't true that they were going to kill everybody. They didn't kill everybody. Well,
I think that's a no. Yeah, you definitely can't criticize him.
You know,
You can't
Ted,
criticize him for not doing it.
Has my flag come off?
You haven't had it on today.
No, I had it on before.
I don't think so. And I say that because I noticed you didn't have it on.
Oh,
Was
my
it
goodness.
yesterday or the day before?
Oh,
And I wanted to give you mine, but I
well,
don't have
go
my
get
jacket
me-
here.
Go get me a flag.
My jacket's not here, so we'll get one for you though. Here. But I forgot to mention something.
See if Maria can find me one.
You gotta get a
I'm
flag.
going to wear one. I mean, I feel terrible. There's a new jacket. That's what happens with new jackets. You should never buy new jackets. You should just wear the same old ones forever and ever. So the estate law is, maybe I should put this in a bigger context. This big, beautiful bill, which seems to me going back and forth, back and forth. You know what's at stake here? The biggest tax cut in our history is at stake here. If these creeps end up not passing this, it isn't that you're just not going to get one of the greatest benefits ever assigned to you. You're not going to get, your taxes are going to go way up. These people who are worried about losing their farms if we don't raise the estate tax, lower the estate tax, the estate tax is going to go up from where it is now. They're going to lose a lot more farms. Now, maybe it wasn't right to put it all together into one bill. Do we have one? Okay. Would you like to put it on for me? Okay, we'll take a short break as I am properly attired. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers. New suit or not, an American flag should be there. And I will now appropriately discipline myself for my lack of attention to detail.
Oh, that's not all. That's on me too, Mayor. I got to see that, right? Especially when it's on the front. And I usually do remind you when I see that.
You do, but that's okay.
And I missed this one.
So
the question is 2 more weeks I guess
2 more weeks. We decide, are we going to take out,
so this is Russia, the president.
No, 2 more weeks. Are we going to take out, Putin?
Yeah.
Meaning, are we going to face up to him?
Yeah.
And let him have it? And I think Putin's going to cave if you do it. But
And that's the question. And I guess it is high stakes, right? And I want to give the president, right? He's privy to more information than we are.
he is. And then we have,
And I have to give him that.
that's a very good point. We don't.
Mhm.
We don't know the answers to it. We think we do. We
Yeah.
think we're right. But it could be that there's something we're missing
Right.
that we shouldn't be missing. And that
Yeah.
and that could have a very, very big impact on this. Let's hope it all works out and we get rid of those nuclear. I will rest a lot better when the regime of terror does not have nuclear weapons or have nuclear weapons coming up real soon. I'll rest even better when they're gone. I don't see any. I don't see any reason not to, and I don't see any reason not to call Putin's bluff, because I think he's bluffing, and I think it's a solid enough conclusion that you can't take the risk that are inherent in that. Otherwise, he's going to push you around. That risk is always there. He'll push you around for anything he wants, and we might as well become a servile, second-rate country. We've got to have a little bit of risk-taking if we're going to be able to defeat a monster.
We're going to take a quick break, Mayor. I need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax, channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans. No Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans. No Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
This is Rudy Giuliani back with America's Mayor Live, with probably the personally most difficult announcement I've ever made on television live. My closest friend and my brother, who saved my life, Bernard J. Carrick, passed away just a few minutes ago. There's so much I can say about Bernie that it's hard to find words. Maybe I'll just begin with the personal. Don't think there are very few people in my life that I relied on more than Bernie Carrick. Nor are there too many people in my life. Actually, there was no one in my life that was braver than he was. There was some that were as brave. And I was brought up by them and trained by them. But he matched them. And I didn't know that from afar. I knew that by being in a situation where we could very easily have been killed and were thought to have been killed with him. And with his assistance and his remaining strong and focused and me too, and some others, we were able to get through and make the sensible and wise decisions that made it possible for the city to have an operating executive group that was extremely experienced. And whether I had a big impact on September 11 and how we got through it or not, by bringing those 40 people through, I knew I had a very big impact on it. And Bernie is one of the critical reasons I was able to do that. That was in the middle of the time that I knew Bernie, but I've known Bernie from 1990 until now. He was a hero police officer, more decorated than any, or certainly than most. I came from a family of police officers, one of whom was a hero police officer, my uncle Rudy, like him, who took people down from the top of the Brooklyn Bridge 3 times. Bernie saved his partner's life. Bernie wasn't afraid of doing anything. I first met Bernie because of the death of a police officer that we were both involved in helping his family, and became very close to him. And when I became mayor, I made him deputy or third deputy commissioner of corrections, because he had run a corrections facility in New Jersey and had gotten a great accolades because of that. He took over the worst prison in America in 1994. I'll just summarize it this way. In 1997 or 1998, 60 Minutes was going to do a piece about the worst prison in America, Rikers Island. And I said to Bernie, do we really want to let them do it? And he said, they promised me they'd do it honestly. And Mayor, I don't know if you realize it, but the Teams program that we put into effect, which was a kind of based on CompStat, but applied to corrections and the needs of staffing and places to be and gangs and all of the different complexities of how you keep a prison safe. He said, you've been at many of those meetings and you see the results that we get. And I knew it was for real. I would go to the meetings to make sure it was for real. I took the job of being mayor as a serious job. I did not go to too many parties or cocktail parties. I didn't have the time for it. I had a city when I took over that had over 2,000 murders a year, more than any in the history of the city. My predecessor had the distinction of having the most murders in the history of the city, and 2 terrible, terrible, terrible riots, one of which was a pogrom, going out looking for Jewish people to kill. And I just vowed that wasn't we were going to have a riot. They'd have to kill me to have a riot. Well, they didn't kill me and they didn't get a riot. And we took murder down to 600 by the time I left. And then my successor, Bloomberg, took it down to 300 until the Democrats came back. Bernie reduced violence at Rikers Island by 90%. Yep, 90%. Go look at 60 Minutes. If you don't believe me, go look at Mike Wallace's very, very critical report, which began as a hit job and became a major, major piece of the revival of New York, such that corrections departments from all over the country were coming to see how Bernie did it. When the office of police commissioner opened up, because I was blessed by God with three great police commissioners, Bill Bratton, Howard Safer, and now the third one, Bernie Carrick. And they were one better than the other or all equally as good. You can measure it any way you want. You can look at statistics and we could say one was better and the other was better and the other was better. You know what I think? Truly, God blessed me with having the right man at the right time. I had the reformer when I needed the reformer. I got the institutional guy who could make these programs permanent so they're using them even today. And then I got the guy who could morale. You talk about morale when your police commissioner goes out and makes arrests. He was police commissioner a couple of weeks, and I got a call about 5:30 in the morning from my press secretary, Sonny Mindell. And Sonny said to me, "Boss, we got a problem this morning." I said, "What is it, Sonny?" Whenever I got a call, it was always a problem. Or somebody shot or somebody or whatever. She said, the new police commissioner just arrested some people. I don't know, maybe he banged them around. I'm not sure. We got to stop this. The press is going crazy. I said, Sonny, you got to be kidding me. He was like bad people. He said, yeah, they're gang people. Did he get into he got into a little fight with them? Did he prevail? He said, well, yeah, sure he did. He's a black belt in karate. There was no choice. I said, Sonny, you just made my day. Are you kidding? You know, I don't care about the press. I don't care about the press. They weren't as bad as they are now, but they were. I mean, I got New York Times editorial 89. I probably got two favorable ones, and one of them was when they endorsed me for re-election. Now, and they were a lot better then, by the way. Now they're just. Ronald Reagan taught me, read the New York Times very carefully, the editorial pages. Do the opposite, and you'll be really successful. I did. I can show you. So, Bernie ended up becoming a national hero in the correction circles. When I needed a new police commissioner, very close, because I had a very, very good choice either way. And I selected him because of his innovation and because it needed to be revived. It needed even more morale than it had. Now it had been organized kind of like in a military style by the ex-Marine Howard Safer. Because Howard Safer treated the press like they were a bunch of unnecessary jerks, they gave him a very bad press. Howard Safer was a brilliant police commissioner. Howard Safer invented the U.S. Marshal Service just about, and he invented the witness protection program that helped me put so many mafia people in prison. But as far as the press was concerned, they wouldn't let you know that. Those things are too really important to the public. They're more important they're brainwashing you. So when he took over for Howard, he faced the same problem Howard faced, which was Bratton had done such a great job reducing crime. How is Bernie gonna? How is Howard Safer gonna do any better? Gosh, he was never even a cop. he did equally or better. He kept reducing crime more and more and more and more. And as different crimes emerged, his emphasis went in a different direction. And then when Howard left, crime was down to levels nobody ever thought we would see. I bring in Bernie, and Bernie faces, how's this kid, this guy? He was just a cop, and okay, he ran corrections, but you probably gave him the program. I didn't. He developed the program, damn it. And then he brings crime down more than anybody ever did in the history of corrections. And then I put him in the PD, and he brings crime down even more, I think, or certainly equal to Bill and Howard. And then he faces something no other police commissioner in New York or in America ever faced. Really, a military attack, foreign attack on the city of New York, the biggest one since the Battle of 1812, and of a terrorist nature, which was a total surprise and shock. And he had worked in the Middle East as a young soldier. Can you imagine how God blessed us with someone who understood it? Huh? And I had a partner, along with my police commissioner, Tom Von Essen. Man, when I used to say to the Queen of England, for example, when she knighted me, I stand on the shoulders of giants, people would think this was some kind of false humility or feigned humility, or came right from the bottom of my heart. I see the picture right now. I stood on the shoulder of the giants, and I saw Tom right now, or Richie Shearer. I tell you the same thing. Richie was the head of emergency services, and Bernie was the head of the PD, and Tom was the head of the police, of the fire department. They got the biggest losses of any fire department ever, including Tom's best friends, and they were giants, often walking into situations where they had no idea what would happen to them walking down there with me on that. I mean, we didn't know if we were going to fall into 4 stories deep into a 3,000 degree Fahrenheit fires, but it didn't matter. It was our country we had to bring back. And if I ever even thought of not doing it, I had these 3 men around that I would have been embarrassed not to. One night I'd worked so hard, I had to go out to a memorial service. I was up in the Bronx, I think near my old college, Manhattan College, and I had to go all the way to Rockaway, and I was really tired. And I said, I wonder if I should go. I may actually frighten them looking so tired. And they looked at me and said, Mayor, they don't care what you look like. You show up there and they'll go crazy. And you're the only person they want to see. And they've been waiting for you all day. I said, okay. And Bernie was in the car with me, and we talked about what are we going to do tomorrow about this? And we can get some more police from Chicago. Where are we going to put them? Then I would get on the phone and figure out how we're going to cover all the funerals. I'll go to these 5, and Bernie will go to these 5, and Tommy will go to these. And we got help from Governor Hugh Carey. He'll go to that number. And Mayor Ed Koch, he'll go to that number. And my deputy mayors will come and read from me. But then I'll go to, now if you go to the funeral, I've got to go to the wake. Let me make sure I went to the wake. It was very, so we drive out there. I don't remember if I slept or not. I remember I got into work. That kept me. And when I got out of the car, I almost said to myself, how am I going to do this? I can hardly lift myself up. And I saw, I think about 1,000 people, and they had little candles It was about 9:30 at night. This was Rockaway, New York. It was the second most affected community in New York. Staten Island was the most. Within 2 days, I had been at their beautiful church for a requiem mass for a brave, very, very well-known local guy, fire guy who had walked in and saved people's lives. And there's never a time you contemplate that where you aren't uplifted and challenged. And I got to tell you, I saw the people. I saw their reaction to the mayor coming there for them. I gave a 1-hour speech, and they had to stop me. I didn't go to bed all night from the energy that I got. And then I remember telling them over and over again, they would say to me, how is it that you have this energy? And I'd look at Bernie, and Bernie would look at me, and we would say, you're giving it to us. You're giving it to us. He came with me to London to be knighted. He received a great honor from the Queen of England. We established very, very quickly one of the most prominent security businesses in the country, if not in the world. We helped to build police departments in other parts of the world. Some of them still functioning. And then he was one of the first victims of lawfare, something we'll talk on later at another point, which needs to be straightened out. And he was pardoned by a great president with a big heart and a lot of decency, and he loved that president. Bernie dedicated, I would say, the last years of his life from about 2015 on to making sure that Donald Trump would become president and would succeed as president. There's no way I have the time. I will maybe, if I do a book or something, tell you all the things he did for President Trump, but he loved him. He absolutely loved him. And when the president selected me to run his legal situation, run his campaign and his legal situation after he had lost, Bernie didn't even bother calling me. Bernie got in a car, drove to Washington. The next morning, he's there. And he said to me, I assume you want me as the chief investigator. And I put my arms around him. And I said, now I feel okay. And we've been together since then. We've been together since the beginning. He's like my brother. His 2 wonderful daughters are my godchildren. And his son is a hero policeman also, because he has the genes of this great man. I was a better man for having known Bernie. I certainly was a braver man and a stronger man, and I wish my father had known Bernie, because my father was the bravest man I ever knew. And I think he'd put Bernie right up there in the pantheon. For me, bravery is so important, and honesty and integrity and caring about people and putting them first. And Bernie had all of that. What a Christian. I love him. We'll talk more about different things about him and about the family and the beautiful, beautiful family and how they followed the girls and the boy and how they're following in his footsteps and his wonderful wife. But right now it's all about my friend, Bernie. I don't know what I'm going to do without him. Never expected this. I love him. You don't go through death, the possibility of death, and come through the valley of the shadow of death with another man and not be attached to him for the rest of your life like that. I feel like I should have been with him. I was going there on Saturday to see him. Today we got the information that it would be a Saturday, or he'd be fine to Saturday. But God had other plans. And I say to God as a prayer, oh, I don't know, God, we all need help. I don't know the help my friend Bernie needs, but there may have been some things he did in his life that work against him, but he did so many good things in his life, so many people that he helped, people that I saw, and I bet you saw. How about the guy that couldn't walk on September 11 when we were trying to get them away from the second building, and he took his car and he put the guy in his car. He wasn't in the car. He's walking in the car. We bring the car over. We put him in the car with a police officer because the man couldn't walk. And we helped the old lady, put her in the car. That's just one, dear God, just one time. And he didn't ask for credit for it. So if the Bible is correct, he gets credit for it now, right? Right. The lives he saved as a police officer. The lives he saved in Rikers Island, and the lives that he saved. Do you know that he volunteered to go to Iraq after the war was over to help them because they didn't have a police department? I would talk to him at night, and I could hear the guns in the background. This is in the middle of our having a $40 million business. I'd say, Bernie. He said, don't worry, boss. He worried about me. I'll just end this. I know I could go on forever, and I'm sorry if I'm doing this maybe for my own grief, but there's so much to remember about him, and so much I'm going to miss him for. Just counting on him. Oh, get Bernie. Yeah, Bernie will know that. Yeah, get Bernie.
You've still been doing that up until now.
Yeah, I probably did it today. And never backed off. Look, no comparison, but I've gone through difficult times, right? And I've found out who my friends are. People that I thought were abandoned me because they were afraid. A lot. People who I thought would stay with me did. Wasn't all that. And people that I never thought had the courage were unbelievable. But I knew from the beginning that Bernie wouldn't, and Bernie didn't. And Bernie was there for every single thing. Not 1 inch. What a man. We've got to figure out what to do is the right thing for him. But now I want to get to his family, okay? But I had to put this here because he was a public man, and people should know what a great man he was. This is the kind of man that makes America great. This is at the core of us, people like Bernie. This is how we win wars. And we protect ourselves from evil. Bernie, I don't know, Bernie, I have one prayer, and that is when you get up there, go see St. Michael the Archangel. He's the patron saint of policemen. He's going to love you. He'll be your advocate. If I could, I would be. I wish I was there for you, Bernie. You were always there for me. I love you. God bless him, and take just 1 second as we leave to pray. I'm going to just say a short Our Father silently, but you can say whatever prayer you want to say, okay, for him. Then I'd suggest it directed to Michael the Archangel, because I think he's the one who can get him through. He'll understand Bernie the best. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, amen. May he rest in peace. Amen.
that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind